I believe we're live. Hello, we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jocular Junction. My name is Jordan with a silent PH in the middle, and we're going to talk about some tabletop news today. Lots of stuff going on. Not even mentioning that Wizards of the Coast laid out a plan of releasing a bunch of information on the 2024 PHB, DMG, etc., etc. I'm pretty sure that they're in. I think they made some NDA deals with a bunch of YouTubers, so I wouldn't be surprised if there are some YouTube videos that come out relatively soon about all of the new tabletop stuff. So, welcome everyone. It is Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And this is the Tabletop Junction with your host, Jordan. And we're going to go over some news, crowdfunding. What else do I have? Design and writing. I've been reading a new to me RPG called Sword World, which is a fan translation from a RPG in Japan that I want to talk about. And then Planegea. We're trying out some new stuff. Also, I have Forbidden Lands tomorrow. And then I wanted to write here at the very end, Cthulhu. Can I write it correctly? I don't think I can. I played in a Call of Cthulhu game with Lex, and I think the takeaway was that, like, Cthulhu's not for me. Maybe it's the system, maybe it's the lore. I'm just not sure. I don't know if I'm a Cthulhu person, but welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us live, and let's just dive in, and we can talk a little bit about the news. So Dicebreaker is no more. I don't know if you guys read anything or watched Dicebreaker. They are British, I believe, and was a really good comprehensive team of individuals who did just cool game reviews, but not only, I mean, they did card reviews and stuff too. Like when Lorcana came out, I watched a lot of their stuff just because I was curious about the new Lorcana like craze that was happening. But they also did some really in-depth, interesting RPG reviews. And it's kind of sad that it was a good place for tabletop coverage, I guess. And now that is not happening anymore because they got bought up by somebody. So IGN picked up Dicebreaker. And they're making the entire Eurogamer Gamer Network thing redundant, which is code for we're firing you. So some of the Dicebreaker people, not all of them, from what I have heard, have come out with these public statements of I've been made redundant and I'm no longer part of this. And if you go to the Dicebreaker website, they haven't posted anything in quite a while. So I want to say, like, when was their last article? May 21st. So yeah, that's like shortly after they got bought up. It's a little under a month, but it doesn't look like this is going to be doing anything for us. They're not going to keep Dicebreaker, I guess, which is really sad because it was, like I said, a really good thing. And there's not a lot of tabletop journalism news stuff happening. So because of that, I don't know, you can kind of, it's just sad. So IGN bought this, and this is another one of those things, like I feel like Facebook does this all the time, where like, let's buy up our competition and then we'll either integrate it or we just like, we'll let it die. And then again, we're like on top because they were the ones that were our competition. So you're not, as a company, you're not acquiring things and getting better. You're just stopping other people from having the traction to move forward. And if you are the CEO of Dicebreaker, I'm sure that's a nice paycheck for you, or the owner, I should say. I'm sure that's a nice paycheck for you. Like, you can buy my company and then I will retire and it'll be nice. Not calling anybody greedy because that's what you do with companies. You sell them. I just think it's really sad that IGN and these people are allowed to, or just companies in general are allowed to buy their competition to then like not utilize it. So kind of sad. like I said, this Reddit thread, which I should have links down below, Matt, Alex, and Michael were the ones who came out and said that they are redundant. So we will see the future of this. No idea what IGN is going to do with the brand, but if you haven't been told from the multiple layoffs, there are no posts. Dicebreaker, as you knew, is no more, which is really sad. Welcome, Moa Peach. Thank you again for becoming a, I'm going to start calling them Junctionites, which is the Jocular Junction. Either, we'll call it, well, patrons, but the members of YouTube. So it's kind of fun. So, sorry, Dicebreaker. We'll miss you. This is interesting. Modiphius is going to publish Ubisoft's Heroes of Might and Magic as a tabletop RPG. And I don't think I had a link to this because I had like a photo somewhere. And of course I'm not prepared, so I didn't bring it up. But I wonder if it's on their website. Let's see here. Modiphius. But Heroes of the Might and Magic, yeah. Heroes of Might and Magic is, let me move this one over here so you guys can see. There we go. So Heroes of Might and Magic, I mean, obviously popular video game franchise has been going on for, I think, my gosh, a long time. I can't remember. And what made me want to talk about this is that, yes, it's another fantasy RPG, but with the Final Fantasy RPG, Final Fantasy 14, not getting like the best reviews, I think that one might kind of fall flat. I'm not really sure. And there are a ton, but like as people are trying to find that system that's D&D-esque that they're kind of moving away from, this felt like it could have been a good contender because it's Modiphius. The Fallout franchise is really good. I'm not sure how the 2D20 system will be. I don't know how well it will play out for a system like this, but yeah, I wanna go back and actually play some of the old PC games now. I think they're all on Steam, and I'm just curious about the world. And obviously, I like fantasy and high fantasy systems, or I should say settings. And so this could be cool. Like, I don't know. You know, that's all we have is like this, and then they're like sign up for updates, but. This is Modiphius's jam. Let's take a property, let's add our proprietary systems onto it, and then we'll go out and, you know, Fallout was a big hit. Actually, what other systems use it? So Octung, Cthulhu, Dishonored, Dreams and Machines, which I think is their proprietary one. Dune, which was not overly popular, but I think the people who like Dune like it. Fallout was big. Homeworld is something that I'm really interested in because I like the Homeworld universe. John Carter of Mars and Star Trek Adventures, which Star Trek Adventures is getting a 2E version here soon. But there was a Geek and Sundry game that they did an actual play of Star Trek Adventures that was very good. Amy something was on it. She's nerdy. She was at Nerdist News and Geek and Sundry, and then she worked at Wizards of the Coast for a little bit. She might still be there. I'm not really sure. Yeah, like Modiphius cashing in on another one. You're right. They don't have their own system, except I think Dreams and Machines might be their own system or their own world. Yeah, I just want to read your articles. I don't want 25% off. But that's their jam. And it's funny because I think this is the way Dungeons & Dragons will go just because of Hasbro. So Hasbro, like, take Magic the Gathering. You know, here we'll have a Doctor Who set. Here we'll have this. Here we'll have this. Like, if they can get D&D to be this, like, I don't know, like like the 5e D20 system is what they need to do. They need to call it that. And then you can play Dungeons and Dragons with it, but they could also release Doctor Who or, you know, Heroes of Might and Magic and all that other stuff. They're already tried to do that with their Magic the Gathering properties. And I think in the future, that is the direction they're going. They want to, a lot of people have said this, but they want to codify Dungeons and Dragons to be this set of rules. And then from there, they can do anything they want with it. They can make it Star Trek. They can make it Dune. They can make it all this other stuff. And so, and I bet they're really eyeing that now with how well Fallout sold on Modiphius's website after the Fallout TV show came out. So there's a lot of things, but I actually don't know anything about this system, but it feels very that video game where they're in they're like primal hunting robots. Chick has red hair. Somebody will call me out and tell me. I can't remember, but yeah. So they have all those other Fallout systems and Might and Magic. It'll be interesting. And then I don't have it on here, but I wanted to talk about it. The 2024 PHB release, like, teaser that's coming out. So let me look for that as well, because I'm so prepared this morning. So 2024, it's on their Instagram, I think. Oh, Wizards of the Coast. Instagram. And then if we do D&D, and if we go to D&D Wizards, yes, here we go. So let me share this with you guys. So 2024 Players Handbook Reveal. So they're going to be doing a live stream that is live, those streams that do that. They're going to be doing a live stream on the YouTube, probably the Twitter. And so at the very beginning, June 19th on Wednesday, they already have this like scheduled, I believe. Thank you, Hamster of Doom. It is Horizon Zero Dawn. Was the game I was thinking of. They're going to be doing this reveal. And so it's going to be Weapon Mastery, Character Origins on the 19th. The 20th, they're going to talk about the Fighter, the Paladin. The 18th they're starting, and they're going to talk about all this. And then on the 19th, they'll talk about the Fighter. 20th, the Paladin. 21st, the Barbarian. Which shows me that that's probably done. I was thinking of Horizon Zero Dawn because of... That's the only one I've played. So that's cool. And then, like I said, I'm pretty sure that there's some people on Reddit. Myself is not one of them, but there's people on Reddit that are like, a lot of the big name YouTubers have the PHB in their hand, and they're going to be going over this and making stuff, which, like, I hope Ted has it, because, and I'm sure he does, like, he's pretty in the know with Wizards, and specifically, I think he's been making less videos lately, and I wonder if it's because he's just, like, pre-recording a bunch of, like, PHB stuff that he'll be able to drop once the go live date is set by Wizards. So that'll be really cool, and I look forward to that. So that's happening next Tuesday, and so, yeah, keep an eye out for that. Other news, I don't have a ton. We're all kind of just waiting on stuff, but I wanted to talk about some other things like crowdfunding. This is a Kickstarter called Neon Skies, and this is made by Will, who is Wylock on YouTube. So Wylock makes tabletop terrain, and I played a Numenera game with him like a long time ago. And anyway, he's just a really nice guy. I've done a couple of like video promo stuff like I've shot stuff that he's used in videos and vice versa. So he's really cool. But he wrote this game, and I kind of went under my radar. I was like, I don't even know what this is. And again, I'm not really into cyberpunk as much as I want to be as a role-playing mechanic. But I did want to give a shout out. This has 11 days to go. It's already funded, and this is not sponsored or anything, but it just looks really cool. It's a D6 system where you succeed on a 6. So a lot like Forbidden Lands and other things. And he's got great videos here. So if you're interested in that, I'll put a link down below. But I'll also... there will be a link in the description of this as a podcast and this as a video. So you should totally check that out. Neon Skies. And then speaking of Kickstarters, I got my It's Only Magic came in the mail. So this is the Monty Cook Games modern magic setting for Cipher System. And I got this late last night, and I was reading it a little bit. So I personally, when I picked this up, and I'm guessing Rust and Redemption is similar. But when I picked this up, I was thinking that it was going to be kind of a self-contained game, much like Numenera. But Monte Cook Games, their new focus on their systems is that here's Cipher. Cipher can do a lot of stuff, and now that you have Cipher, pick up the campaign like setting style you want, and then make Cipher work for you into doing that system. So, Gods of the Fall is superheroes, I believe. So you buy Cipher and you take the superhero book and you kind of merge the two. And Rest and Redemption is like Westerns, Weird West stuff, and so you take that and you combine the two. This is modern day magic. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Dresden Files, something like that. And this was the one that I backed specifically because I was really curious about this. And I wanted to tell a modern magic story where like we all kind of wake up with magic powers, or, you know, there's that secret world that you don't see, that now suddenly your third eye is open to and you can kind of check it out. So yeah, this is actually really cool. This is not, like I said, what I was expecting, but on a whole, I think this is going to be really, really useful. So there's a whole chunk of this, which is about creating your world, what type of game you want to play, which I think Monte Cook is really good about, and working from there. And then there are extra things, like we have extra foci and character abilities and stuff that are kind of in line with this specific setting. So you can then, it makes a lot of sense. Like, comparing it back to Dungeons & Dragons, actually, comparing it back to Dungeons & Dragons, if you had like, here are the core rules, and then here is our, and I guess they already did this, but like, here's our Ravenloft setting, and then you can kind of like play in the domains of dread using your core rules plus this. This feels more, whereas, the Cipher system before was trying to do everything all at once. So I have superheroes with my mages sometimes, I think. This really narrows it down to being like, we're going to just play in this like magical world and we're going to make it look like that. So like magical app hacker. It's kind of cool. Magical guns, conjuration abilities and stuff like that. I've been re-looking at Invisible Sun a lot lately, and I was on Reddit, and a lot of people were like, no, Invisible Sun is a beautiful setting, but the system really needs work. And this is one of the things where I feel like I could use this system to, it's funny, using another Monte Cook game system to play a Monte Cook game world. So I don't know, it just looks really cool. So like tattooed ink and stuff. Like I said, I haven't had a huge chance to read this, but this is reinvigorating me to start making, Monte Cook videos on this channel. Like, I've wanted to review Cipher, Numenera, Invisible Sun, but I have been busy working on the main channel, actually, doing all that Vecna stuff that's happening. But yeah, and it comes with a couple adventures, which is cool. Home Economics in the Tower of Time, Too Many Zorps. Again, this is not sponsored. I just thought it was really cool. We'll get to you, Sword World. Don't you worry. And then other crowdfunding stuff. I bought a bunch of stuff recently. It should be coming here soon. But of course, I'm blanking on it. But Exalted Funeral had a sale, so I bought some stuff. Designing and writing. So for those of you who are curious or don't know, I'm trying to write a tabletop RPG. Not really for profit and not for like not like, man, I'm going to go towards a Kickstarter kind of a thing, but I'm always been curious about tabletop design, and I don't necessarily consider myself a designer or anything other than like the occasional homebrew and kind of like hacking things like that. But I like to read a lot of RPGs and kind of understand like what makes them tick. And then with that, I turn around and go to my particular game that I'm working on, which is called Modular D6. It needs a new name. I think we were talking about it in the comments of like, oh, this would be a better name. And I was like, that would be a better name. But the idea is in my game is that I want to have like a classless-ish system where you purchase modules with your experience points. So if you are like, okay, I'm really good at intelligence spellcasting, I'm going to buy extra spells. Or I'm a really good fighter, I'm going to buy a module that makes me like super expert with a sword, and I do better stuff if I use a one-handed sword. and kind of mix and match. And there are other systems that do that, and I'm aware of this. But for me personally, I liked the idea of trying to create this on my own. So I've been reading a lot. And that led me to Sword World. So I don't know a ton about Sword World history, I should say. Sword World history. So specifically, it looks like TSR brought D&D to Japan. Japan loved it. And they were trying to figure out, like, what is this? What are we going to do with this? This looks awesome. And they didn't like that TSR controlled it, or TSR wasn't, like, releasing everything in Japan because it costs money to, like, translate. So a bunch of people who really liked tabletop role-playing games, and they liked original Dungeons & Dragons, they created their own called Sword World. And it's complicated, yet surprisingly simple at the same time. And it's got its own lore and history, which I'm surprised. Maybe they have made a video game about this and I just don't know. But there are like these 3 swords that are essentially deities, and they came down and they created the world and they created magic. And so you as a hero are able to tap into this powerful magic and stuff like that. Sword World utilizes a 2d6 system, and it has this very, it looks intimidating character sheet. But at the end of the day, instead of rolling a d20 plus bonuses to see if you hit, you're just rolling 2d6 plus bonuses to see that you hit. And then if you do hit, you have a chart that aligns with the particular weapon or spell or ability you're doing, and the 2d6 will tell you on that chart how much damage you did or what effect you did. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up is it sounds very much like the MCDM RPG. The last time I watched a video on MCDM RPG, Matt Colville had this like breakthrough where he's like, we're going to do a 2d6 system, and then by the end of the video, he bumped it up to a 2d10 system to just kind of make it very future-proof is the word he used. So, but it's the same thing. I'm going to roll 2d10, and then because I have a greatsword, I go and look at the greatsword thing, and I said, okay, I rolled a 7 on my 2d10, and I go to 7, and it says I did 12 damage. Kind of confusing because I'm not rolling my dice for damage, but also like very effective in the sense that I know what I'm going to get at the same time. And the way Colville said, he's like, it's really fun because like if I roll a 7 on my 2d10, somebody else knows that like on their sheet, it bumps up to extra damage if they get an 8 or a 9. So they're looking for abilities to try and like help their friend because they know if they can get a higher result, they can do either more damage or have a longer effect or something. So I read through most of this. I didn't read through all of it. There are some like translation things, but overall this is really cool. And the fun thing about this is Sword World is this translation is currently just available on Reddit. So I really if you're curious about tabletop design, or if you're curious about this world and want to do this, I would for sure check this out. And I also believe links down below. I found a YouTube playlist that walks through how to create a character and the basics of play for Sword World. It's kind of neat. So and then it's all got fun anime art. It's really cool. So there are certain classes, and then you have subclasses. So you have a major class and a minor class is what they call. But I'm probably going to say subclass just because of my Final Fantasy 11 and 14 things. But you have a major class and a minor class. And a major class is like the definition of what you can do. And then a minor class is something that you add on to kind of augment your abilities. And I really like that. So if a major class is how I want to play a game, like how Jordan interprets a system, then the minor class would be like the extra, I guess kind of like a subclass. So like I really like playing a wizard, but then my minor class would be like conjuration wizard or something. But it's a little more broad than that. It's more complicated than backgrounds, but it's less specified than subclasses in D&D. So, for example, fighter major class, fencer is a minor class. So I'm going to be a fighter, but I want to be a fencer, so I want to be good with like one-handed weapons and things like that. Or fighter major class, marksman minor class. So now I'm a marksman and I'm actually like shooting guns and things like that. And sorry, I was looking at the Google Drive link, but yeah, sorry. And so, yeah, so sorcerer major class, conjurer major class, priest major class, artificer major class, and then you have minor classes that, yeah. And they said in here that not all of the minor classes work with each other. So you could make a game that is you could make a character that doesn't work like very well at all. And so I think that's a flaw in the system, honestly. Like, especially when players are like, man, I want to play like this, and then they make like a really broken character. And I know you can do that in other systems as well, but this one feels, the fact that they flat out tell you, like, don't combine this and this. I was like, well, you should just make a rule that prevents fighters from taking the Sage minor class or something. Yeah. And so then with skill checks, you have your ability modifier, your class level, or sometimes your adventurer level, and then you roll 2d6 for that. There's a target number. If you do the thing, you succeed. It's awesome. But let me see if I can find, and lots of flowcharts. It feels very Japanese to me. But there are, I know what I'm looking for if I see it. Oh, and then here are a bunch of, those are checks. Combat rules. Oh, this was also interesting. So we'll talk about this right now. There are 3 styles of play. One of them is like simplified combat. One of them's normal combat, and one of them's like expertise combat. So simplified combat, it kind of breaks it into an old school Final Fantasy combat scenario. And you have the enemy on one side, and you have the good guys on the other side. And there's a place in the middle. And so your character, when they use a move skill, they can move from one zone to the other. And then certain abilities, like if I fire an arrow, I can fire it from the zone I'm in over the middle zone to the other zone over there. But if a friend is over there, then I can't actually shoot there because I might have like friendly fire. It kind of made Theater of the Mind a lot easier for players to digest. Granted, I haven't played it. I don't know if that's true, but I was reading it. And I'm like, no, that makes a lot of sense because you could just lay out, here are the 3 grids. You move from here to here. Yeah. And the normal one is this with like a bunch of more rules. And then the expert combat is like 3D terrain, and you move in all directions, and everything's in meters and stuff like that. So kind of interesting. Types of movement, conjuring a spell, blah, blah. Oh, power tables. I just saw it. Yeah, here we go. So you have a power table for your particular weapon. And so the weapon or ability you're going to use that deals damage or has an effect will have a power table. And it'll say like, oh, roll on power 20. And so you know when you succeed, then you roll damage here. And you roll damage, and it's 2d6, so you just roll this, add your bonuses, and you're like, oh, I got a 9 or I got an 8. And if you crit, which is like every ability also has a crit threshold. So sometimes the crit threshold might be 12, like you have to roll 2 6s. Sometimes the crit threshold might be 10, but if you get that, then you can bump it further by re-rolling on the table and doing extra damage. So it's kind of like doubling your dice. You're just like getting an extra amount of damage in. And I believe that can just continue. So you could like crit like that. But my question to you, is that fun? Like I like, there's something about, oh my gosh, I rolled max damage, or I rolled a 20 and now I get to like roll all of these dice on a sneak attack and just do like epic amounts of damage. I like it when damage explodes. So if I roll max damage on a die, I can re-roll that. Like that's a fun crit mechanic. But I haven't played this, but it doesn't feel as fun for me. So even though this system is kind of ingenious in a lot of ways, I don't like the idea that I'm rolling these 2d6 to hit, and then I roll 2d6 for damage, but I have to go look at my chart. And granted, this could all be on your character sheet. It's not like it's too difficult. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. There are so many like little rules though of like firing into combat and stuff. I mean, this PDF is what, like 445 pages, and granted it's a fan translation, but like this is only part 1, and there is there's a part 2 that's out there as well, that has extra stuff. So combat feed data, magic data, so here we go. This spell, Energy Bolt, is on the power 10 with a crit value of 10. So I roll my magic to fire this, and then I deal power 10 plus magical power at the target. So if I hit, I go 10, I roll 2d6 plus my magical power, and then from there we get 3 to 12. And then my crit threshold is 10, so I could like re-roll it. Light, sometimes they just do this, sense magic, but yeah, it's reaping slash, one target, instant, resistance on half if they fail. Oh, and everything has MP cost, so there's no spell slots. Everything is magic points, and you spend magic points just like you would take hit point damage. So, and I'm wondering how streamlined this is. Like, I know dice slow things down, but I also feel tables slow things down. And I'm speaking of that strictly from playing a lot of Dungeon Crawl Classics where, oh, you critted? Let me go find the table for crits. Oh, that means that I go to this table over here. Oh, you fumbled, or oh, you have a special ability, or you this. And so there's lots of like running back and forth that feels like it really slows down the game. Still really curious about this, but it also suffers from a creep problem that by higher levels, you're almost getting like a plus 17 to your 2d6 to see if you hit. Like, they just increased that, but didn't increase the die value. So it's always going to be, just like in D&D, it's a d20 on top of your modifier, d20 plus 5. But you get to that point where you're like, yeah, I'm rolling a d20 plus 12. And then we get into the 4th edition era where it's like a d20 plus 30. And at that point, you're just like, well, I don't know. And OpenD6 had this problem too, which bothered me, where you got such high level that you were rolling so many dice that they made a optional rule of saying, like, you could just take the average and then roll 4 dice instead of 60. So take the average and then add that to your 4 dice. I'm like, you're doing the same thing. But that's a whole other discussion where maybe games work better at lower levels because of lower numbers. So, but it really does feel like JRPG, the tabletop RPG. And I think there's a lot to learn from this document, and it's available, like, it's out there. So you should totally check it out. Links down below. I would go to the Reddit thread, I believe. Yeah. Well, never mind. That's the YouTube video. Yeah, Reddit Sword World, and grab it there. I think the reason people in chat, you guys saw the link there that was to my my personal Google Drive document, and that's why I didn't have it there. But if you go to Reddit, basically r/Sword World, you can find it there, and it's available. So, and I think they have, this is 2.5, but they definitely have 2 as well. So they went one earlier. Lots of interesting design principles. So then how am I applying this to modular D6? Well, I really like in this one, and I was reading another game called True D6 that I kickstarted a while ago. And it's been fulfilled, and I had it, and I just haven't read it. But Sword World does a really good job of saying, like, how do you want to play? And they tied that to a major class. And then you augment your major class with little minor class things. And so although modular D6, I wanted to get away from having a class, I think if I can tie the idea of a class to how you want to play, like, do you want to be a big sword fighter, and then have all of the modules available? So I want to be a sword fighter. I like being up in front of people. I like attacking them. I like having a shield, but I also want to cure people. It's like, okay, we'll take this cure module and augment your fighter with it. And maybe that's the direction I need to go. And with that direction, I will include classes, but just 4. Like, do you want to heal? Do you want to be sneaky stealthy? Do you want to cast magic? Or do you want to be like a tank? And so, wizard, thief, fighter, cleric. Like, do you want to be those? And then, but I want to be a cleric that does necrotic damage. Well, then take this. Or I want to be a cleric that, I want to heal people. That's the main thing I like doing in the game. But I also want to, have like arcane magic or something. So that's kind of the direction I was going, and I started redefining what I thought. So I have 4 stats, which is strength, agility, magic, and charisma. And I'm kind of working those into 4 different styles of play that will be my 4 main classes, and then you choose one and augment it with that. So yeah, and there are so many really good videos on YouTube about JRPGs and the history of tabletop RPGs in Japan and how they kind of influenced the video games, and then the video games influenced America on tabletop, and then it went back to Japan. So you should go check them out if you're interested in the history of that. It's pretty cool. RPG DMCA asks, do I want every player to be specialized or everyone a Swiss Army knife? I think I want everyone to play a character that is not... Specialized is not the word, but like, I like themed characters. So if I'm playing in a world and it's like, hey, you could... Because I think any game, you can pretty much min-max it and do that. And let's 5e Dungeons & Dragons, Warlocks and Paladins, I don't think you should be able to multi-class those, because you have a Paladin who's devoted to a god who then also made a pact with like an evil entity, and it's like, how are they together? It's like, oh, but the synergy of the charisma is so good, because I can have a high charisma Paladin and cast spells, and I can also augment it with all of these charisma Warlock abilities, and I'm like, yes, you found a way to break the system, but like, when you apply those 2 things, how does it help your character, not narratively, but like thematically? And with this system, I like the idea of like, I really want to play this, but I also like this. And it's like, okay, we'll combine those 2. And so you could combine modules to build a character that is very thematic. Like, I was raised by fire giants. I'm going to take this fire thing. I'm going to do this. And I want to kind of build up the fact that I'm very resistant to fire because I lived with fire giants for so long. And I was able to lift heavy things, and that's why I'm a super grappler or something like that. So that's kind of the idea with the direction of modular G6. But we'll see how it actually turns out. I got to get writing. So, finally, here are some of my home games. We played Planegea 5e. I was talking about using some crafting from the BattleZoo Bestiary, and I'm still planning on doing that, but I got sidetracked with Sword World. But Planegea 5e, they fought some poison dart Grung, and they're looking for these divine idols that belong to their god Urhosh. So the unkillable Urhosh is this giant bear god that was attacked by spiders from the Venom Abyss, which is sort of like the Underdark in Planegea, and they stole some divine idols, which are his like won trophies by defeating other gods. So they basically stole divine power from him. So they're going to go to the Venom Abyss and gather these. They found the first divine idol, but it is in a underwater structure surrounded by poison dart Grung. The players ended up killing a bunch of Grung, and they are now like extracted parts from them, and so they're trying to think of like, how can we use this for crafting? And then there was another fight against a demon that they bone demon that they fought, and they also want to try and like utilize the tail and its venom and stuff. So again, these are really fun, but I'm in like uncharted territory. Like I know some jobs or some systems have like crafting rules and stuff, but it's not like I'm thinking of like Monster Hunter, where I really just be like, what do I want to take it home and I make it into an axe or something. The cool thing about BattleZoo Bestiary, though, is that they take the what is the essence of this monster, basically. And so like the Bone Naga, it's like, okay, well, we have not Bone Naga, but the Bone Devil Demon has poison, hard exoskeleton. So I think we could use the exoskeleton to make armor that makes you resistant to poison, or we could make a sword that does poison damage, or once a day you do that. So it's kind of fun to craft this with the player. And then depending on their role, it's like, whoa, how much resources did it take? Maybe one thing I need to know is like, do you fail and it's broken? Probably on a natural 1. Or is it, do you roll and based on your role is how long it's going to take to craft this? So then it's just like, I rolled poorly, so I have to wait longer, kind of a thing. And maybe we translate that into sessions instead of in-game time. And I kind of like that a lot, where I could say, hey, you rolled pretty poorly on this. You're not going to get this until you play for 3 more sessions. And then at the beginning of that, 4th session, you get this cool sword or something. Could be a fun incentive to show up. Like, oh man, if I don't show up tonight, not that players really need an incentive to show up, but like, yeah, I like that idea. Because real life happens. We're all adults. Finally, Cthulhu. So, good friend Lex ran me through a Call of Cthulhu game. He had a old Call of Cthulhu, Sandy Peterson 2nd edition module, and we ran it through 7th edition Call of Cthulhu. And I was wondering if I feel like I'm missing out on a really cool aspect of tabletop RPGs by not enjoying Cthulhu. So I took a break a long time ago because I realized I just don't get Cthulhu. Maybe I need to read it. And so I read a bunch of the original stories, and I'm like, okay. And I kind of like the like dread from nowhere. And we don't, there's a lot of interesting things there. And a book that I really enjoy that I feel is very Call of Cthulhu-esque is House of Leaves, where there's like just insanity and a lot of confusion about what's real and what's really going on. So in this Cthulhu game, we're investigators and we jump in and start investigating the missing disappearance of our friend. And there's like other Cthulhu things. But I think while we were playing, I felt so helpless as a character in a game. And where I wanted to be able to confront the monster, or I wanted to have more knowledge about it than I was supposed to, I never got to do anything like that. And so we always felt like we should be running. There was never oh my gosh, I need to go save my friend, or we need to stop the big bad guy. It was more like, I just saw something horrific, I need to turn around and run away. And if we did stay and try to fight, or if we did stay and try to solve the problem, we were penalized by, like I broke my leg and we lost a bunch of insanity. So I don't know, like, is Call of Cthulhu just not for me? At the end of our Cthulhu mini campaign that we played, like I think we played 3 sessions. Some of the other players were like, no, I think I like this system. Like I like this roll under D10 system, or D100 system, but it didn't, I don't know. I didn't even really like the system. I was like, I don't know if I like this, guys. So I always thought that I needed somebody who really was passionate about Cthulhu to run Cthulhu for me. And I've now played in this one that Lex ran, and I've also played in a Cthulhu game at my local game store. And I did enjoy that, but I do think I need a more action-oriented thing. The whole time I was like, I wish we were playing Monster of the Week, or I wish we were playing Kids on Bikes or something, so that I could have more interaction with the world with less like, I need to run and get out of here kind of a thing. But you're right. Some people in chat were saying Seth Skorkowski has some great Call of Cthulhu videos on how to not accurately, but like how to maximize your fun in Cthulhu, because it is a different beast. It's got its own little subworld of stuff. So I definitely want to check that out. Or I want to check out Seth's videos now. And now that I've played this, I think I will enjoy them in a different light. And yeah, Cole Van Soge, you were saying try Pulp Cthulhu, and that's actually quite true. Pulp Cthulhu would be exceptional. I should totally try that. Which is or Octung Cthulhu, which could use the Modiphius 2d20. But yeah, I'm wondering if it's just not my cup of tea. Just like I don't think I would be excited to run or be in a cyberpunk game or a Shadowrun game, because that world doesn't super interest me. I do feel like Scary 1920s Investigator is something that I am interested in, but I would have more fun if we were playing Weissen, because I could be the investigator who knows about the fairy tales and could like have actionable things against it. Or if you're playing Delta Green X-Files, where I have the knowledge of the otherworldly and I'm trying to save people because I'm the Men in Black. So that's kind of the direction I like. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I like all of the scary stuff that's in the Abyss and some of the sanity checks and stuff that can happen there for Dungeons & Dragons, so we'll see. But yeah, so that's my show, everybody. Not a super ton to talk about. Oh, I did want to. This is gonna be spooky. Can I switch to studio mode? Yes. Can I go to... No. Yes. So if I transition here, guys, I got this cool thing in the mail. This is from a company, and I'll also try to put links down below to this. But it's called Unique Dice, and if you go to uniquedice.com, you can find this. And I actually have an affiliate link, so don't click anything just yet if you're interested in this. But it's a D20 in a wheel. So you spin it, and then it has all of the dice. So there's a D12, a D6, and a D4 on one side, and then on the other side, there's the D20, the D%, and the D8. And it's just kind of a cool thing, and it came with this fun little package, and so you put it in here, and then I think I would click this to my Ren Fair outfit, and I could totally run around with it. I haven't found a use case for this yet, but I like the idea of carrying this like fun metal brass dice in case of, emergency tabletop RPG play. It spins really nice. It's super fun. I just rolled a 5 on a D20, so there you go. So yeah, I want to thank Unique Dice, not sponsored, but they did send me like this, and they set up an affiliate link if you guys are interested. It's pretty cool. In fact, I should find that right. I'll have to find it later. I'm not good at this. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me at the Tabletop Junction. Thank you, patrons, and thank you for becoming a member and supporting the channel. Really, really excited to have you guys here. I will be back next week with another episode of the Tabletop Junction. Thank you guys again, and take care.